this is going to be an art stream where I just, these are all, everything you see here is based off of some kind of request that somebody did in a previous stream. And depending on what format you're seeing it, that you might have seen that not too long ago. But currently, some flaw that I had, and I forgot to fire up the actual pure ref file for it. Where is it? There we go. Perfection. All right. So, my big issue that I I think I had last time is I actually didn't write down the actual request people had. I only put them in this. Oh, you see it up here. I only put them in the pure ref, the images here. So this is some guy's OC. I hope he'll come back at some point. And if he doesn't, look around for this guy because he was pretty cool in the chat. These are, of course, some spider webs. I think it was Sarah who requested spider webs. This is somebody else's OC. And I decided to do a clever, cheeky thing by having most of their body hid behind the big ogre guy here. And this, I think, was the original prompt, cooking gargoyle. There's Jack Skellington. And this is, God, a Pokemon I don't remember the name of at all. But we're gonna keep going with this. So I've actually done some brush adjustments since last time hosting this. And so like a lot of the messiness that I was afraid of, I think I'm on the right brush to demonstrate my point. Yeah, a lot of the come on, there we go. A lot of the messiness that I was afraid of in the brushes that I have. So here's the thing. I've been using Clip Studio Paint for a while. For, let's say, it's been like a couple years. And I'm one of those guys that gets really nervous at like going fully into the I was moving my mic stand, going into the full list of tools and settings that I have because I don't want to like irreversibly screw something up. And so I'll show you that my construction brush was, I'll enable the secondary, because Clip Studio Paint has double brushes enabled. Frankly, you might be able to do triple brushes. I have no idea. I'm not a brush designer. But the Jazza construction brush that I was using, it's really nice under most circumstances, but when you like try and do big silhouette-y things, it gets really scratchy in unhelpful ways that you just don't notice when it's smaller. And so what I did, and I did this with a number of other brushes, including my inking brush, is that I disabled the second brush. And so, I think I disabled the wrong one actually. Hold on. So, which one was it? Oh, okay. I think I illustrated the wrong point, but I think I did the right thing anyway. Oh, no, here's what it was. Okay, so this is the shape it was originally. Here we go. So now this works really well at smaller scale, and this is what I was using before for construction. But when it's at bigger scale, you can see it's a little bit harder to work with if I want to like make a silhouette of something. It's not a crisis, but it's harder. And so with Clip Studio Paint, this is not an advertisement, by the way, what you can do is, I'm just going to check my audio while I'm here. Okay, my audio is working fine. So in Clip Studio Paint, if you don't know, what you can do is for the primary brush shape that you're using, so that's like the outline that you're seeing there that I'm wiggling around here. The primary brush shape is the actual silhouette of the brush that you're using, and the secondary shape, and I'll just screw up what I have here for a second just because I can undo it, is those parts that you can see filled in the middle. They're going to, you don't really see it that clearly while it's in motion, but you can kind of see it's doing its best to fill in at least the radius, if not the actual silhouette of the primary brush shape. So you can almost think of it as the primary brush shape is the outline and the secondary brush shape is the fill. That's my interpretation. I actually haven't looked it up enough to know if that's correct, but I noticed that it serves me better not just for the construction brush but also for my inking brush, which is also from the Jazza brush pack that I have, to make it a circle. And a lot of, if you don't know, a lot of professionals make their brush a circle, though I do like fancy brush shapes just for different settings. But yeah, anyway, so that I have just more predictable control over the shape of where I'm putting this, I have the shape of the brush as a circle, just so it's like, oh, it's just as far where I reach anywhere. It's a very consistent shape. It's not itchy and scratchy around the edges. If I want to, like, everybody knows what to do with a circle, more or less. But then on the inside, it still has all those nice little granular bits. I did not change the secondary brush shape, and so I and so it can still have that nice texture that you see there. It's just you can't even tell that it's filling out, like under this circumstance, you can't even tell that it's filling out a circular shape. It really doesn't matter. And frankly, it's not going to be used in the final thing anyway, so it doesn't need to look polished. But now, when I get back to, here's a fun little thing about my inking brush. This is also not the original shape of the. So okay, you can if you have a brush downloaded and used, then you can actually put any brush tip with any other brush, because brushes being created takes like 1,000 variables, and so this is like the dry ink brush from the Jazza brush set, the Josiah Brooks brush set, Draw with Jazza. That has a similar rectangular brush like this one. It's not supposed to be that big. I think it's meant for inking, and that's why it works so well for it. Anyway, it's originally square, but it wasn't consistent with its texture throughout. I can understand, like, it was kind of more of a gradient within itself, but I needed more consistency just for my own comfort. Then I'm like, hey, I don't want square corners if I don't have to have them. So what I decided to do, once I realized I could do it, is you don't see this in the settings pop-up that I keep pulling up, but if you go under the brush tip tab in the brush settings, there literally is a whole tab just to make your brush tip a circle shape. The default way, at least for brushes like this, is materials, so like whatever shape that the brush creator set it to be, whether it's Jazza or somebody else. So now I can have that same lovely texture, but with a circle, and you'll see how pretty that can be later. It's not fully polished now, but because it's not taking shape, and we'll watch it take shape. I do remember back when I was dealing with this guy that I had him sitting here, so yeah, it's a really awkward shape. I remember back when I was dealing with this guy that I switched to the inking brush because it seemed more pretty and practical, but I actually think I can come right back to the construction brush now that I better know how to use my brush systems. There we go. So it just goes to show things can actually be, easier when you get to know your tools, and also, there's reasons that people set things up the way they are. Now, of course, it's still not in any way a problem if I go back to my inking brush to do any part of this. I can still do that. It still looks nice. People can request that I do that, and I'll happily go along with that. I'll go with my own technique until further notice. I like going based off of audience prompts here. And, you could make an argument for that being a cleaner look in the first place, starting off strong, but I do think that, setting a precedent for it being itchy and scratchy while we don't technically have everything decided, I think is very healthy for our process. And we still get those nice little tapers and granular little thin scratchy bits. It sounds like I'm talking about cooking. Yeah. And you know what? Now, okay. Sometimes I like to get rid of my UI just so I have a cleaner board, but I also want to constantly show you guys what's going on. So if you look to the right over here, you'll see exactly what settings I'm fiddling with my hotkeys. And, it's almost like you could follow along if you want to. That's up to you. So now I'm going to just, whatever shapes feel like they fill in the idea that I have. This is supposed to be kind of a crevice. So dipping in like this in a concave way. So I'm just kind of scribbling to show like almost a mimic of a shadow. I want to maybe make this line a little thinner and stronger around the edge of it, just to indicate a little cleaner than that, just for my taste. There we go. Just to indicate that there is like a hard ridge there. And then for the rest of this, you kind of just feel out the shapes. What I'm trying to do, and this is something I'm trying to get in a better practice of in the first place, is I want to get better at determining when to have the thinner lines in the piece, because a common principle in art, and digital art is no different in this case, is that you want to have the outer lines of your character and of your objects broader and thicker than your internal lines. Your internal lines should at least be thinner, if not also softer, depending on your application, of course. So you can start off with big fat chunky lines if you want some consistency across it, you want to get your details down and you don't want to change it, then you can kind of trim like you just saw me doing around the edges. Putting my brush, you can either use a dedicated eraser brush like this. Ooh. Whoa, what am I actually doing on this canvas? No, no, I was going on the background. Okay, mistakes were made. I'm on the background layer doing this. I thought something was weird, which it is. But now, okay, I'm gonna have to start. Thankfully, we're early on. I'm gonna have to start over that bit. So what? Sorry for blinding everybody. Oh, wait, what? Oh, okay, I think I see what I did. So, because this is, so what I do is a black layer at the bottom so that I can have a good canvas. Oh, actually, you know what I can do? Actually, I can make this a lot easier on myself. So that was an eraser brush. Didn't work as intended. I frankly barely know why it did that, but we can find out over time. But in the meantime, I can take the color that this layer is intended to be with my little eyedropper. I can put it right here. Lickety split, we got the color. And now my inking brush does not scale very big. Oh, good to see you, Latagu. If you have any requests, feel free to put them in. I'm just talking about canvas principles here. Yeah, my construction brush scales pretty well. You don't see because I just literally I was coloring the same color over it, but you can see I can use it to fill in colors much easier here, and that helped me to remember that I only did anything over here, so I barely even have to start over or correct anything. But I do remember I was working in white. So what am I thinking? Where was I going with this? Okay, so now this is still my background layer. Now I can use that to darken my canvas. Now where was I actually supposed to be for this Pokemon guy here? Okay, I kind of see where we're going here now. Okay, that's totally feasible. So now I'm at my construction brush. Now, I was talking about doing thinner, fainter lines for the inside details, trimming and everything, because you might want to do bigger details on the inside while you have some perspective in your head on what you want it to look like. Or, frankly, if you're starting over, that, even though it's frustrating, can have the nice little moment of, well, now I actually know I have more of a handle on the textures for everything, so I could just start out doing the kind of lines that I already want. I forgot in the first place to do that thin line, and now I can just put it in, and it's a lot easier. And look at that, even the shadowy bit that I'm still probably going to fix later, but that looks more cohesive right off the bat. And I think this is perfect for the piece. All right, this is starting off very strong. I'm into this a lot. I'm going to take a break to hydrate in a second. Yeah, and so now when I say that you should have thin lines on the inside and thick lines on the outside, that of course isn't to say you can't have variation. You can see that this line is not exactly, I'm going to do that a little broader so you can see it. This line is not exactly as wide as this line. It's not exactly as wide as this line. We still want some shape and character here. And of course, in my construction work, I had it very broad there, and I don't have to fill that out. It's just according to whatever vision you want for your piece. So, if you're an anxious person who tries to retain your first idea, you have whatever reasons you do, but you're like, damn, I don't want to create like a weird situation here. I don't want to create something that will be hard for me to sustain and replicate. Art is all about feeling it out and seeing what's right. Because I know that, especially in any viewers and buddies that I have here, that there's a lot of anxiety buddies, and frankly, sometimes anxiety is exactly what leads us to art, and that's okay. But You just gotta feel it out. Alright, and so I am filling out this Pokemon. If anybody, you can see the reference image as well as I can, so if anybody in chat wants to name that Pokemon so I can actually, like, jot it down, I could reverse image search it, but I'm too busy drawing for you. So I'm also doing a little scratchy bit for the inner edge here. Maybe, because I imagine that, like, Pokemon go around a lot, so they probably have a lot of weathering. You know? And I actually want to make sure I'm properly yeah, so, okay, I was following the line there, but not the texture of the actual object. I lost track of it a bit just because I was in the zone. I wanted to be consistent. So now I'm doing, because it looks like the kind of line that I was doing here at the time when I first did this was supposed to be for skin of some kind. I think that's skin. So, you know, I'm smoothing it out a little bit, thickening it out. It doesn't need to be thick, but it just feels right. Because I don't think this suits a pencil line. Yeah, this is filling out well. I'm gonna hydrate. Pardon me. Alright. So now it is kind of unclear what all this was. Now I can add lines here for details that I think I might have missed. Happy to do that. This is what happens when you get someone who's not a fan of Pokemon to draw a Pokemon. You get what you get. Now, okay, so just filling these parts out, and I think in order to be faithful to this, I gotta add some extra lineage here. No, it's gotta be centered like that, because it's gotta align with that crease up there. But it also doesn't have a seam connecting them, so it's just kind of gonna have to have a visual implication of symmetry. Not an implication of symmetry, just not indicated symmetry. It's good. I think it should also be a little bit pushed to the side like this, because I imagine some of these bits are fleshy, and his whole bone structure is like slumping over like this, all relaxed. So this actually feels in my mind like the right proportions, even though it's a little schmutzy. So, excuse me, I'm going to scratch out the broad ambiguous lines here until I find the right idea. How he's resting on himself. You get it wrong until you get it right. Yeah, because I also don't know what this guy looks like when he's in motion in the show. I don't know how any of the parts of his body are supposed to interact with one another, so I'm interpreting it as I go. Right. So now I assume that's a claw, and I assume this is just a bunch of claws that he's just laying there as he's finding the general position for his hand while he rests. Yeah. And Lady Goo, I hope that if you did stick around, that you're having some nice rest. That you had a good Tuesday. I forgot it was Tuesday almost. Alright. That's the shape of the claw. And a little thinner just for the inner line of... That's like almost a bicep line, the way I think about it, or forearm in this case. You know, your quads. I don't know if your quads are on your legs, or if that's an arm thing. Here we go, and a thinner line with more confidence now that we've already started. Already had a try before and are getting to know our piece better. There's a quote that Adam Savage started for that. I don't remember. Oh, good to see you. Oh no, it's Q. First time chatter. Hope you're doing okay. How's your day? If you have any requests, feel free to put them in chat. I'm open to anything. I am currently just progressing on this Pokemon. If you care to name it, I will name it as well. I don't know Pokemon well enough. But yeah, so the Adam Savage quote I was talking about, he was... What was it? Oh yeah, he was saying something about iteration being mastery. I'm sure that he didn't necessarily invent it himself. He quotes a lot of literature, but he's where I get it from. I'm a big Adam Savage fan. We all are makers. Alright. God, this is coming out way better than I thought it would. That's quite common for putting together tunes. You know, trust the process and all that. God, some of these ideas, I'm like, where the heck did they come from? Alright, so I'm just... Now, as much as this doesn't look that consistent with the piece, I'm going to trust what I did before, especially if it ends up looking nice, even if it doesn't quite look correct. Once I have more comfort with the piece in front of me, then I can make adjustments. We can erase anytime we like, any amount that we like. Oh, and okay, so what I interrupted myself with before regarding the eraser is you can either, of course, use an eraser brush. This is a dedicated pencil-style eraser brush, you know, that's not all the ink at once. It's just, you know, it works like a pencil eraser or a separate eraser that you'd have with a pencil. Or what I more of the time do if I need to do like fine finicky work is I'm on my construction pencil. There we go. I just switch the brush color to transparent so I can use the same texturing to just take away ink. And it feels, in my opinion, more natural that way. So that's actually what I'm going to do exactly right now with this ink. You'll notice, I don't know oh, okay, so you don't even see the pop-up tool sliders thing. That's fascinating. Okay, so, yeah, I have a color indicator here. You'll see also the color indicator down here. And you'll see that I'm putting down white. I'm putting down white even though it looks black over there, or, you know, transparent. And that's because the color of the layer you'll see over there has a little white square. And that means that it's giving everything a white colored tint. I usually do that, as you can see, in blue for construction work. Usually not quite like that, but I was playing with silhouettes earlier. So now back to the actual drawing here. I'm going to use the thinner line just to do that little, whatever you call it, that gap. And erasing a little bit here just for cleanliness, just because I feel like it looks prettier that way. Filling in a line that didn't need to be disturbed. I like that quite a bit. Let me get a lay of the land here. So it's starting, like, yeah, okay, now I kind of see more of it, but this definitely needs to stick out more, so I'm going to do that now. The previous Stevie did his best, but he missed this little part, and frankly, he was probably tired, and so I can totally see that. Here we go. Alright. Pokemon is by far the most complicated part of this yet. And thankfully, there's a bit of a simpler bit over here. All this outline work. By the way, let me know if anybody hears my microphone levels weird. Yeah. Or if like the audio is overpowering me and I can't tell. I just want to make sure that I'm not... There we go. Okay. I was just checking my audio levels. Okay. Now, how does that actually... So it is this one, I think. Sorry. So it is actually the black piece there that I did here. It's just, I guess I did like a more vague version of it, because it confused me as to maybe if it's that one, if it's so broad, but I think that is incorrect. So I'm going to do a slight revision. Alright, thankfully no thin pieces here. Ain't gotta change the brush size. We could if we needed to, but we don't got to. Oh, but there's a little seam here. Okay, there's a little crease. And I accidentally moved that. There we go. There we go. So I'm now going to put in... Oh, there we go. Clip Studio Paint was not cooperating with me for a bit. So then we have those. There we go. Those creases. And just making sure. Is this... God, Pokemon have such complicated shapes. I'm going to stick with that though. So I'm going to solidify these lines down here. Just clean up wherever I see something that looks like it could use it. Now, here's where I often have a difficult time. Because this looks like it should be a thinner line that's overlapping something. But there's also this part that's sticking out forward, in my opinion, that should probably be a thicker line. So this is where you find your kind of gradient shape points of that. This is something I've had a lot of difficulty with over the course of my art, and you just gotta play with it. Straighten and smooth things out now that you got a better handle on it. Now, if we're lucky, this can look like it was actually done in one smooth stroke. Or at least just look really cool, you know? Now, you could argue I should skip cleaning up the construction work because it's the construction work. And it's not something that actually, like, is going to be the final piece. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I just like making it look fancy. So I'm going to, instead of, well, okay. I am going to, before moving on to inking anything, I'm going to do the fingers here. And I go to my pop-up layer palette, and I'm going to, is this the one that I'm looking for? No. Is this the one? I'm just toggling layer visibility on and off for stuff until I find the right one. So first of all, I'm going to make the lines more robust here so we have a clearer vision going forward. Going to give them a little makeover. Going to find where the lines properly go. We are going to head into each and every square inch here. If something does not need to tug over, it is not going to tug over. That was the wrong button. Okay. And do the little ear part, the little inner ear. It's a little overhoop, and then the little... I just realized I don't know what ear anatomy is called, but you get what I mean. Same thing as over here. In fact, I might redo this one because that looks a little too straight and jagged. So we're going to go back over that. Now it looks real crappy at this scale, but then we zoom out and we don't even notice. All right. Now, did I make his neck that thick? Wow. Okay. So now, like, I think it could use to be a little thinner than that. Like, I know he's strong, but holy gosh. Okay, so these were meant to be vague swoops, so I'm going to do more shape language here as best I can, adjust as necessary. Because, like, I'm also not great at hair, so I'm just, like, trying to do my best to, like, follow what feels like natural hair flow from the scalp, feel where the tapers go. Now this one can tug over, there we go. A little overlap, a little depth. All right. And that looks a little too rigid. I'm gonna thin that. Take it right to the tip there, and then make it look like it's just kind of sticking out haphazardly. Like, you know, there's nothing, there's no more structures here. It's just that it's sticking out there. And maybe a little curve down at the corner for shapeliness, but we again also don't want to make hair, which is not like a rock, look like it has some super sturdy structures behind it that hair doesn't tend to have. It just kind of sticks out from the scalp most commonly. I think that's the implication of this OC. That's my understanding of anime hair. You know, of course, if you're doing it for a cosplay, then it's got to be a little bit more like plastic, because that's not how hair works in real life. But here, we go by our own little rules and logic of the mediums in which we inhabit. That is a weird shape, and I don't know that I'm going to keep it. Oh, I think I know what I was trying to do here. I'm not sure that I still agree with it, but we'll try it out. It might make this one loop. I'm gonna stick with it until it becomes more of a problem to me, because that actually looks more plausible than I thought it would be. Alright. Now a little wispy bit down here, some dimension as we finish off these final little pieces. Like, a lot of people have trouble with hands when they're drawing, and I do too. I'm not gonna lie to you, but my harder point is doing hair. Cause like as much as hands are complicated, hands are something that most of us have about the same. And even people who don't, they have like consistent elements. You could be missing a thumb, missing a pinky, and still have the rest of your fingers. Maybe your thumb's in a different spot, but it's still basically a thumb. Maybe you have a stump, but we all got the part that leads to the stump. But when it comes to hair, like we got points that stick out, and that's useful, and we have width, and like you could look at it as segments, which they are. You could kind of just go all around like that. But like hair is so much more wild in shape than any hand is, in my opinion. So that tucks under the chin. I'm not going to do the part that's under the chin. And I am going to be careful about... So I'm going to do the thicker outline for the fingers up here. Then I'm going to come back for the side of the finger because that's going to be... They're hugging each other. I think it's pretty clear that they're hugging each other, the fingers. So, bigger outline here. Just these awkward little positions of him tucking his fingies under the neck of Bowser. That's his name. That's what I think that's what Sarah named him back when we started this. And that's his index finger that might be fatter in this than I intend to make it. So I'm actually going to raise the brush size, turn it to the transparency instead. There we go. That tucks in a little bit better. Might still adjust later, but who cares too much? And now for the thinner line. It doesn't have to meet all the way to the edge either. There's some character in leaving some space to imply that they're just hugging each other real tight. It should have... Oh, excuse me. I had acid reflux. Pardon. Hi. Drowberry Legend. Of course you come as I'm dying. Hi. I believe last time was Kyorim Black. Is that the name of the character? Or someone who was here? By the way, lovely to see you. Yeah, so I'm hugging the side of either finger here. I gotta drink some water. I just had a hell of a lot of... Oh, it's the Pokemon! Thank you! Thank you very, very much. Okay, so the name of this Pokemon... You know what? I'm even gonna write it down. Because I'm gonna regret it if I don't. Thank you so much. So there's the right layer. Something on my eye now. I am dying as we speak. Okay. Here, back on wood. There we go. Kyorim Black. Kyorim Black. Want to make that smaller later. I don't care yet. There we go. It doesn't matter too much. Okay, so we have that name. I don't know what this OC is, but we'll have a name for them later. But yeah, I'm gonna keep writing stuff down just like I wrote down Bowser. Now back to the finger over here, and I so nearly went on the wrong layer. You saw it. You all saw me zoom in and almost do the finger on not the layer of the guy that I'm trying to draw. How am I doing today? I'm doing pretty okay. I can't wait for some snow. The holiday season's coming soon. I'm not Canadian. I am Canadian, so I don't have Thanksgiving this week. We had it last month. But I'm excited for my buddies doing it, my American buddies. And I'm excited to get back into this drawing. I've also gained some confidence to where I don't have to also always use Lazy Nizumi, because I want to have a little bit more control over my hand, and I don't think I trusted myself before. So I'm you'll see that I'm drawing a little bit faster than last time. I still think it looks pretty damn good. Here we go. And gonna do a little bit sticking out there as if the fingers are parted, because he's not just like purely paying attention to where his fingies are going. These two are touching and not sticking out in that same way. I actually think that could be used to be erased and not defined more. There we go. And then a little bit more sticking out for the... Oh, no, the pinkies, so it should be like back here. Yeah. That might even be like hanging off from the back. I Might even want to do some like, imply the back of the hand there with some curvature. That's good. I wonder why Canada have Thanksgiving in October than November. Really, I don't know. If you want to Google it and then like come back to chat with it and then inform all of us, then I'd be delighted to learn for us to learn something new right here. It's good to see that you're doing good. Give me 1 second. That is alarming, but we'll figure it out. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes when I'm using Clip Studio Paint or any digital art software like this, it'll disable my mouse to other applications, and I don't want to exit quite yet, even temporarily, but we'll get to that point. So, oh, right, I remember what I did before when it came to coloring the construction layer white. So I noticed it was a little bit more comfortable doing that than doing the black on a gray background because it's easier to see and there's not that much of it on the canvas, more contrast. And if I am comfortable doing so at the time, then I can even turn off the white coloring eventually. But I think that's more of an evolved process, but I can turn off the white coloring, turn it into really any color that I wish. And I might be going to... This is very nearly, in my opinion, good enough to be the inking. I'm just going to be very closely following that when I go through the inking process. Is there anything I'm leaving behind? I don't think so. So I am going to actually, move on to some inking. Why not? We're doing inking early this time. So just addressing which layers are what. All right. So, okay, I'm going to let chat decide. Going to once and going to twice. What part of the... So do you want to see me ink the original part first? Give it some nice clean inking. Continue with it because some of it clearly already is. For Bowser and his cauldron and all his knickknacks and doodads. Or do you want to see me ink Chiron Black over here? Or either one of these OCs. Or the spider web, spider and camera there. So if you want to see... oh, I should make that arrow more visible. I keep forgetting you see Pure F. I see Pure F down here. So I'll outline it for you where I see it. That's where it is for me. But so if you want to either put it directly in chat or if you want to give a number for from left to right, the arrow number of what you want me to ink first. I can be patient. But yeah, I'm just... sometimes it's also nice to chill back, sit back, and just watch the art piece that you've made. You've been giving it so much scrutiny as you've drawn it. You've been scribbling away at this, and you've seen every single flaw and every single whoa, that's the best thing I've ever seen. Every little proud moment, every little I don't know how to do this little anxious moment, and sometimes it is really, really important, especially in order to ensure that you come back to doing art, that you just sit here and go, hey, let me look away for a second. I'm turned away from my computer. Let me look away for a second. And they'll look back. Then go, damn, if I was just walking by and I saw this, I wouldn't think anything of like that this looking anything other than beautiful. And you get to dive in, and you get to be part of your own thing again. Lady Goo says, how are you? I'm doing pretty good, thank you. How's yourself? All right. Now, if you guys don't decide, I'm going to give it a go and a once, and a go and a twice, and I'm going to throw up a random number generator. I'm going to say, where's my... God, where's my... Because I want to make... where's my arm? There we go. So between 1 and 4, from left to right there. All right, so we are going to ink the spider and the camera. That makes sense to me. All right. So now I'm actually going to remove these arrows because I don't want them to get in the way. And I'm probably still going to do the same white on black thing for the inking. and then I'm going to switch it back once we have that opportunity. Okay, so thankfully that shares the same layer as. Where did I put the? Okay, is that not in a folder? Oh, I didn't create a folder for the original pieces. Okay, let me move some stuff around in my layers here real quick. Back to pure ref. You are going to see this reference image if my life depends on it. Maybe if I can like click and drag it. Yes! Okay, that worked. I'm surprised that worked, but it did. And we can futz with the positioning later. Okay, so the Pokemon, we're not going to get to color fill until much later anyway, so later when I have my computer restarted and the graphics drivers are not messing with me, I can move that around so that we can get the color positioning. Oh, we're back. All right, tech issues are fixable. So I am still on construction pencil, and that's good. So it was requested by, oh, now I gotta remember who requested it, of course. Their username is literally just person. Okay, so it was requested by person that I draw their OC here that I was trying to retrieve. So I assume the OC's name is Howl, and it seems like, well, actually we have some details here. So the colors, favorite. So I'm going to be just trying to mimic these colors because I want to see how much I can do by hand. But favorite stuff, cannoli, soda floats, Pokeball. I love Pokeballs. Drawing, of course, we love that here. Music, trinkets, melon, peach, why not? Dislike, rude people, I'm in your camp. Faz Fact likes to make creative drinks. I also like creative beverages. Alright, so now either this is two different people or there's some gender fluidity going on here. And either way, that is A-okay by me. Now, I'm going to find a place for this OC right after I lower the ambient music. It can calm down. We're trying to chill here. Despite the fact that I'm the one that's talking, we're going to chill here. So, alright. Now, where actually do I put this? What I don't want to do is cheat by just like having them. Does it say pronouns anywhere here? Okay, I don't want to cheat by having them just like poking out their head, just like the others. Though, okay, because I don't want to give them like more. I don't want to give anybody like more screen than anybody else. So I do think it'd be kind of cute if we just kind of made it into like a line like this of people all like gathered around Bowser here as they're poking out from behind him. I think that that's a really, really cute idea. So I'm gonna do that right after I throw. There we go. I'm gonna throw the original stuff into a layer folder because we need some organization here. What was the original one here? Oh, okay. So there was a draft down there. Right, because I'm scrolling through my layers, and I'm going to undrop down these folders. I'm going to create a new folder, and that's going to go over top of everything, and it is going to have, I'm going to give it, okay, I'm going to give it a draft layer, then I'm going to give it a few layers, because one of those is later going to be an inking layer. Actually, wait, so I'm going to freshly create a draft layer, then delete one of those, because there's actually a draft layer function, a specific function in Clip Studio Paint, then delete the layer that was supposed to be at the bottom, and now we have a draft layer. Okay, so now I'm going to have to do some close-ups here. So now, like, you're going to see, like, mostly, I'm thinking that there is some, like, you know, stereotypical neurodivergent style, just like, throwing their, like, you know, whole face and vibe out there, you know, cheering like an anime character over somebody's shoulder. I don't know if I want to make them tiny just to accomplish that. Well, okay, we're separate here from the other stuff, so I can kind of get away with. So I'm gonna do some silhouetting. So this is their head, and their body is gonna be kind of like this, like sticking out. Well, okay, no, so this silhouetting is not working very well with like the round brush, so I'm just gonna like, okay, determine the base skull shape, and then their chin is going to be like that roughly, and their hair is going to swoop like in the opposite direction than the image, just because she's facing, or they are facing, a certain direction. And okay, I'm like, you know, like, so there's definitely some 70s going on here, and I can appreciate that. So I'm gonna do some erasing here just so I have room to do facial detail. Yeah, I started off with way too fat of a darn brush. I don't want to I want to make this stream okay for all ages. Oy. Here we go. So I'm gonna trim down some of these lines. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so we got a clean playing field here for the face. Now I know that isn't as much like a nice round circle as before, but bear with me. So the eye level will go here, and the mouth will go here, and it'll be in kind of like a smirk. And it's gonna be like a really wide, tall smile because they're like really excited. And obviously I'm not gonna mirror their eyes because that's not how eyes work. But I'm going to do this eye in the same style I do most eyes, and then I will follow your style for the other eye because that is an X. That is not a full eye. Is that like a? I wonder if there's like what kind of vacancy is going on inside? Sorry, inside like this piece below the X. Because clearly that's a painted on X, even I think in universe of the character. If you'd like to poke in into chat with some clarity on that, I would really appreciate it. No pressure. I'm just going to better define, because this doesn't look very good yet, so I'm going to better define the hair shape right now. I might pull out Lazy Nizumi again, just because I'm nervous dealing with hair. Alright, so here's the general shape of the hair. Because that's like how they got a really exaggerated swoop, and though I might add more curvature to it because it does look like a more simple curve there. It doesn't look like what is it, a Butch Hartman swoop? Yeah. Anyway, so then they have bangs here, and then yeah, and it like dips into the hair swoop at like a corner. Yeah. This is giving me serious vibes of like Amethyst, from like a gentler version of Amethyst from Steven Universe. Just got into that within the past year or two. And so like I want to create some bounce to this hair because I want them to be mid-motion. So like the shoulder is going to be about here. Yeah, so like their shoulder is going to be like poking up, and like their whole like rib cage is going to be roughly shaped like this. So they got like this is not an exaggerated character. They have a pretty normal sized shoulder. We're just working with this portion of the body. Huh. Okay. So now I want their whole shoulders to be like leaning up to express, hey, I'm pointing my finger with this, I assume, iconic gesture of the character. So it's like, oh, actually, okay. So I'm split between, I want them to be like leaning over, so with that, like a hand right here, leaning over Bowser, or for it to be more of like they're just sticking out from Bowser and their hand is like following that motion. I think it'd be kind of better involved with the scene, though, if I have them leaning over Bowser like this. And then also it's, frankly, I think better framed if their pointing hand is sticking out here, more where like the focus of everything is. So that's exactly what we are going to do. And there's going to be like a swoop of the shoulder here. of course, that's going to be hidden behind Bowsy Boy. But for character purposes, I want the shoulder to be a little bit more slumped up there. You know, kind of like a chaotic sort of like, I'm just hoisting I'm using just enough energy in my torso to hoist myself up over Bowser, do my gesture, and be with my buddies here. Okay. So they got a little bit of shoulder going on there probably. Then an elbow sticking out down here so that they can do that. That's a really long forearm, but we'll work with it because nothing else about it, like nothing else feels right for that. Maybe a lower hand actually. Yeah, that's much better in my opinion. Okay. So like I want some curvature to the finger for some personality. Just like they have there. I am probably at this point going to pull out Lazy Nezumi because I'm getting less confident about shapes. And it is always okay to accept help. So attach to window and this one. That make me feel a lot better about this whole thing. Yeah. Though frankly, I don't think it's actually helping that much. I think it's just false confidence there. Okay. So yeah, follow me with the tubes and the orbs here. I'm trying not to like do too many exaggerated cartoony things here, because it's a more realistically proportioned character. But like a little bit of exaggerated cartoony things, because of course this is a cartoon stream. Oh, I am never gonna get the Knuckles better than that. This looks amazing. Oh no, it's Q says. I just came back. Thank you. Yeah, I had just shut down the stream for a bit because I was having graphics driver issues. I had to like restart my whole computer, but I'm back. So is this so? Oh no, it's Q. Is this you? Is this your OC? Or are you just saying that because I've barely started on your OC and you're saying it looks amazing? That's really sweet. Yeah. So I'm just gonna basically do a 1-to-1 with the pose of the hand. I don't see any reason to not. So then there's the shape there, and then like it's just a normal hand. So a little bit jutting out for the, like I'm doing a little bit broader than the actual shape of a forearm here, just because it does look like, you know, like real clothing, it's sticking out from the body a little bit. Now I'm probably going to lower this bit, not the lower part, but this upper part, because that does not feel like it is closer to the body to where the other part is hanging off of it. I need to find a good sweet spot, and a sweet spot you only really find by feeling it out. Yeah. That's right to me until it's not. Because it does feel like I feel like there needs to be a little bit more lumping. Yeah, lumpiness. That's what we need for this to look more natural. Because so far it just kind of looked like a cast. That's not what we're going for. This is a special sleeve. I don't even know if this is like an actual real world kind of sleeve. This is some other culture or something, or if this is something you found when you were out shopping and you're like, ooh, that's so me. And that little like lip here, because there's like a little there's like a little swoop down there. And you know, of course, the turned perspective. It still feels off. Oh, I think it's just because I don't have it connected very much up here. So let's do some more layering. We'll erase lines later as necessary. Thank you for entrusting me with your OC, by the way. I'm going to try and get the patterning right as well on this. I don't know how much you're like married to the arrangement of stars here, as they particularly are. But I'm going to do my darndest. So yeah, so it's like one of the stars is like that. Yeah, so it looks like it's supposed to look scribbled to some degree. So we have some room. If you ever drew one of these stars in your notebook as a kid. Oh, okay. I thought that that other star was like a smudge of some kind, but I think it's just a wrinkled other star. So we will treat it as such. So that line goes here, and then it goes like past the thumb hole. Oh, okay, yeah, no, it needs to go like past the thumb hole, like crossing over it almost. Well, actually, no, not even almost. That is exactly what it's doing. And going over here, under the finger, but like might have to have some inconsistency there just because of the variations that I've had in my hand drawing it. Yeah, this is so not going to be one-to-one with the skeletal structure here when I do the finer detail work in a bit. But oh, okay, thank you for your lenience there. But yeah, so I want to get them as close as possible. But we will wait to give ourselves a hard time on detail for when we have a better scope of like this whole pose. Actually, I might even abandon those details right now just so that we can manage the shape and structure of the actual character. Round the jaw a little bit more as well. Because like this is, yeah, because I still want the point. I think the point is kind of important. I had the jaws straight before because I thought that better, like I thought that suited the point of the jaw, but I don't think it does anymore. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And so like a bulbous bit here. I almost want it to look like the hair is like kind of doing an inertia, sort of like when you're in a car and you go over a big bump and like, you know, all your hair and like the organs in your body go like, you know, like, and so I want the hair to kind of be at the apex of the hop or close to it in this image. So I'm going to elevate a bunch of parts of it because I think that's cute, and I think that that matches the physics of what I want, the mood that I want for this piece. Yeah, and so like, you know, all these pieces are coming with, you know, and like you know, there's probably some product in there that keeps it at a certain shape, you know, some way that your hair coagulates, you know, and so we'll keep it reasonably together. Also a little wisp here that I forgot about. Oh, and this side of the hair is so much easier. This is gonna straight up look like, oh, there's a character that this feels like with the hair going all up like this. And frankly, with just the hair being so 70s as it is. There's a sitcom. It's not Mary Tyler Moore, but it's like close to it. Oh, it's gonna eat me alive. What is the character I'm thinking of? Like, it makes me think of Dolly Parton, but that's not the like the character or person that I'm thinking of. There's like somebody with really nice hair in like a 70s or 80s thing that's all frizzy like this. Was it in a movie? I know it like really doesn't narrow it down because that's a popular hairstyle, but we'll figure it out together. I'm really trying to think. And like the earrings really do it too. Somebody who's wearing like a jacket of some kind. Whatever they're the sleeve is on both hands. Just of a different color. Okay, so I'm glad that I remembered that now. So that I can let that influence the shapes that I use. Really love a good long glove in our life. I think it's a healthy idea to involve long gloves in your existence. So it's like almost superhero-y. And maybe this character is a superhero. And the fingies are doing that. There we go. And the thumb is just grabbing on there. I am liking this pose a lot. This is perfection. Yeah, and there's so much plausibility for like the character hiding behind the dude. Okay. And you know, just to position the neck. Yeah. Just finding it. I tend to be way too scared to practice anatomy properly, so I tend to like just make mistakes and then keep going, which is good. Now you can't see the ears here, so I'm gonna have to kind of make up an ear position. And also, I have not done the bang here. That's what I was missing. That there's like a bang here that needs to take shape. Yes! Oh, this is so coming together. I'm enjoying that. It's just gonna... Please. Cooperate. Okay. Okay, so... So, because I don't think that the bang should look like... I don't think... Like, it needs to look sharp in its shape. It also needs to be in their face, but it also needs to suit the shape of, like, the movement that they're doing. Okay. I think that'll do. Yeah, okay. Overthinking is what we do. And for Oh No It's Cute, or person, or whatever you want to be called, if you want to tell us the pronouns of this character, I'd love to hear them. So we're going to then lower the opacity. And now we are going to do the finer details. And what I might actually do on stream is go to pencil standard. See what that's gonna look like. No, not pencil standard. Where's my good pencil? Okay, that because I'm not too cool with that. Like, I don't like the idea of that pencil. Just here we go, layer color, and then white. There we go. Because that one doesn't have a silhouette to it, and I don't quite like that. But we'll play around with that. I want it finer than that, though. We're gonna find a tool that we enjoy. Pencil firm from the Jazz's set. I'm gonna see if... Oh, pencil firm works so much better. Okay. And then I'm going to give that also a circular shape. Because I don't like this cloudy thing going on here. Okay, so she, her is the pronouns. Thank you. Okay, awesome. I'm now. Oh, there's also. I have a feeling that the line across the face is intentional as well, though it only meets the lips and there's no nose. This is a very illustration themed character, and I'm digging that. I like that a lot. I like when we do meta stuff. I might go back to the construction brush, but just like way smaller. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna do that. Changing my pencils a whole bunch over the course of this. Yeah, this just functions better. So instead of getting a headache with the teeth already, I'm going to go to the eye. I do vertical slits for my eyes, and then go to the X there and do it more faithfully. Thicker line. And now the bang, and just whatever details we feel like prioritizing in the moment. Alright. This one, and then aha. Now you find your rhythm. I think there is birds chirping in this music. I thought there were birds chirping outside my window at 7 o'clock at night in November. I don't think that that's happening. I like the sound of these birds chirping. By the way, if you want to know what music it is that I've been putting on for these streams, if you can hear it, I'm hoping you can. It is the from the Lofi Girl YouTube channel, if they're still called Chilled Cow, I believe they are. Now the channel is called Lofi Girl. I just think the artist is called Chilled Cow, if I remember correctly. And this is the dark lo-fi or lo-fi dark stream that you are hearing. Just because I think it's a nice chiller vibe. You know, I know folks that call this like the depression lo-fi, and I kind of get it. But to me, it's just like, I don't know. You're having a hug in the dark with yourself or with a buddy, and that feels really nice. Yeah. The hug of sunset. As you do the outline of somebody's OC. Thicker lines for the bigger shapes, thinner lines for the inside. I have a feeling something skipped on that stream, but I'm not in control of that. That's their problem. So now, like, following the line. That didn't look right. So let's start with 2 front teeth. But not like buck teeth. Anyway. And having some hide behind others. Yeah, I'm liking that. So I like the line that this is creating. No, it's Q says, this is my friend's OC. I forgot to say, she is watching though in stream, I think. Well, thank you for joining. And if either of you want to request something else as well, then that is totally open season. It is always good to see you, if I can call you Q's friend, and if I can call Q Q. So just doing some rough lines here for those. I should have done the teeth earlier because this is structural. And that can kind of look like it's protruding. No, that doesn't look right. That looks like you need a dentist visit, and I imagine you don't. Pearly whites. And the implication of the tongue in the background, the vague shape, hidden a lot by the teeth, but still recognizable. I think that works quite well. You don't need to be super committed to that shape of the tongue. This is not the inking layer. But I think it does. I think it has done quite well. So now, there's the pointy shoulder. And thank you all, by the way, for joining so far. I know we had technical difficulties earlier. I did not think that, especially with how long I had skipped streaming, I did not think that people would join so quickly. You know, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do so. You know, I know sometimes it ain't easy, and I really do appreciate it. That makes me feel nice as I'm drawing some art for you. Here we go now. Thinner line for, like, same shape, but the thinner part. We want like a smooth transition from the outer line to the inner line, just so it looks like it's part of the same physics of the thing. Don't know if physics is the right word there, but we're gonna go with it. And the same line rule over here as over there. It doesn't need to be exactly the same structure, but it needs to make sense with it. Sometimes when I snap back to the wider view, I totally forgot where I was in a piece, especially when this complicated. If you've seen on my Instagram, my monthly pieces, that happens all the time with those, which is, you should see at the bottom there, that tag MysterySteve.tunes, TOONS. Yeah, it's like those like any of the monthly pieces you see, if I just like reset the view, it's like, oh god, if I wanted to continue on that particular part, I have to hunt for where I was, because of course, like, you keep seeing me twist and turn the canvas, you know, and zoom in and out and stuff, and I just get lost in the world, and I then like if I, especially in like a place like that with such senseless shapes, rightfully so. It's like, oh, was it this bunch of senseless shapes or this bunch? Because like with this one I have the logic of like, oh, what was the what was the theming language of this whole piece, you know? But with that one, it's like, oh no, literally just shapes. And I think, what did I do wrong here? What was that shape? I think I just made the neck too broad. I'm gonna fix that. Yeah, that's way too thick a neck. Glad we caught it now. There we go. Might as well put the tank top sleeves in now while we got it. I'm gonna also, like, while I'd love to have the sag point here, right at the armpit for the tank top sleeve, I might have to. Like, it is clinging right to the character. This is a pretty tight garment, so as much as I want some physics sag for it, I don't think it's actually appropriate for the character, because that would give it some more dimensionality, but it's not as form-fitting as the garment is supposed to be, so I'm going to put that exactly where it is. The neckline is basically a choker on this one. I don't even know what these tops tend to be made out of, like, because it's very stiff. Nightmare Robo 1111. Hi, good to see you, first time chatter. Feel free to request anything you got. Currently doing the OC of somebody in the chat by the name of Oh No It's Q's friend. And you know, the reference image is of course in my Discord server, which should be linked below from where you're watching. So if you would like to... Oh, you're the friend. Oh, okay. Well, still, the offer still stands if you want any other requests. It'll just take me longer. But right now, I'm working on your OC, as you can see, and I hope it is satisfying you. She sent you... I don't know what you mean by she sent you, but it seems that you're happy about it, so I'm vibing. Yeah. Oh, she sent you to the stream. What am I doing? Okay. There we go. Now, that finger doesn't need to stick out that far. I was doing that for a knuckle depth, but I don't. That's not necessary in this way. Could it be? Actually, no, I'm glad I did that. I might come to regret that later. No, I do regret that now. Yeah, okay. Alright. So I'm going to try and make this shape smooth with the one down here, because this is a cartoon that we're dealing with. We're not doing any old piece, we're doing a cartoon. Alright. And we're doing the thinner line for the fingies, and if we're not doing a thinner line, we are thickening that other line later. But I want to complete more shape before we do that. It's easy to get overwhelmed if you let yourself bounce around a little too much. That is, unless you're in such a rhythm that you could just bounce around rapidly. In which case, be my guest. And a little bit of like knuckle here, knuckle shape for realism. Because like something's gonna curl in. It's not just gonna go straight down. Well, actually, no. I'm thinking. Yeah. No, the fingers are gonna curl in. They might even curl in more than that. Well, I mean, yours aren't, so I don't have to. Yeah, it's wearing like one of these like sleeve things, so sure. I'm gonna see if I can make this not look like a cast, because I still feel like I'm making it look like a cast. Like, I'm sure you can see it, like, that it looks a little bit like a cast the way I did it. The way you did it, like, it's resembling that, but it's not where your brain would immediately go. Here we go. So, the base forearm part. Of course, I had to erase that little piece instead of draw. So, oh, wait, no. This is, oh, I see what I was doing here. So, now, this is where a broad line is kind of a gray area. Pun intended for color work that we're doing. Don't mind, lol, I'm not great at drawing, but do we... excuse me, you are not allowed to say you're not great at drawing. Disingenuous over here. So, like... of this whole drawing, the worst part of it is the handwriting. And that's still perfectly legible. It's, like... So, also, actually, while you're the artist and you're here, the original artist, I would like to know some details about this character. Firstly... the pronouns of you already said that the pronouns are she her of the actual OC. Now I also want to know, because like there's a lot of queer coding here. I am almost sure that it's intentional, but with that I want to know if this is two different characters, or if it's if it's two different characters, or if this is like, someone with gender fluid superpowers where they're shape-shifting into each other, and like, oh, they're in a worse mood, or they're like all slumped up grumpy in themselves when they're in their male form, but then when they're in their female form, they're like, hey, like some kind of like, instead of angry, just like kind of like a shruggy Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde scenario. Because I have no better comparison for that kind of character. So, it's the same, and it's just like grumpy mood, lol, same gender. Oh, okay. So this is me just adhering to gender roles. I see. So it's they're a little less done up. They're just grumpy. They're they still got the face paint, if that is paint. I assume it's paint. I'm just trying to figure out the lore here, because the lore helps us figure out the theming of the scene. Oh god, there's a part of me that wants to do since you distinctified a different shape for in the actual resource reference image, I kind of want to do like a ghostified version, like behind her, of the grumpy version of her. That would be fun for me. But it is my Sona, lol, and this is MT Robosona. I have no idea what MT Robosona is, if that's even, like, I'm just going based off of how you're spelling it. That's a term I just don't know. But congrats. Fantastic work. This is a really, really well done piece, and I really like it. I like the pencil aesthetic. I like the color work. I like the neon theming in the background, the gradients and everything. Yeah, so just a fantastic job. So what I was doing down here, it was inconsistent with the line stuff that I was saying before. I think that this glove, it kind of like functions as its own object once it's at this thickness, and so that is why I still did a thick line here instead of it being an overlapping thin line, because that just wouldn't look right with the mask, especially because it's sticking out so much. Like, it's looking for its own identity, aren't we all? And so now this is not going to be, only in the context of the rest of the piece are you going to be able to tell that this is two different things, but you'll be able to tell. And now adjust the elbow for that now that we have better context down there, and put in like a little line there to indicate that the elbow still exists, but like, okay, the elbow is actually wider than a cartoon, and so just like one down here, because the elbow would realistically like be more down here, and we're not showing that. So, it's me. It's like me as a robot. Sorry, I'm misspelling everything because I'm excited. Firstly, I'm flattered that you're excited. Thank you for coming to the stream. Secondly, no problem misspelling stuff. That it means I don't understand, but I'm not gonna get on your keister on it anyway. So also chest emblem before I inevitably forget. God, if I didn't have PureRef right here for all the reference images, I'd lose my head. Like, I wouldn't be able to keep that on straight. So now, here's like, while we're in the construction phase, here is the center line of the torso. I'm curious why you're so excited. You ain't never been here before. It's good to see you. Can't wait to see you again. All right, I can send more if you need. Listen, I would love to see more. though. So here's the thing: in terms of this particular character, outside of what has been shown in this specific reference image, I'm probably just like of this character, unless you have like a drastically different one you also want me to include, which I'll probably do like one more of just to make room for others who might want to come in. I would love for you to showcase it in the Mystery Steve's workshop Discord server. Just like for the sake of sharing your art, because I want people to get used to that. I want to, create a little workshop creative space. But in terms of this specific piece, not to say anything of future pieces, I think the amount of characters that I've already mentioned or the amount of images is all I'm going to put in this one. So I'm assuming I can put like a straight shape here, because there's a lot of the face shape that is obscured in both of the examples of this character. Though I do need to make that more rounded. I really do. Like, not that rounded. Sorry, I'm left-handed, so like if I did not reveal the rest of the face until I stopped drawing that. Ah! Okay. No, that's not the right shape either. We live and we learn and we try. It just needs to be a little more round than that. Just a tiny bit. We're gonna fiddle with this. No, I think that line's gotta do no, we do not have to settle. Okay, so let's now triangulate what the problem might be. So I actually think it has to do with the jaw, frankly. Where I put the jaw, to be very clear. I think I might have to reshape the jaw. I know it's sad to see it go. And also to draw right over top of it, too. Okay. Maybe the jaw's gonna have to stick out a little bit more. Or maybe I'm overthinking this and I'm gonna regret having done this. Regret having done just like the jaw bit here, because then we can get into a place where we have a headache. But we have to trust the process. Yeah, I'm a lefty too. Yeah. But yeah, share as many reference images as you like in that server. I'll let you know when I think you're spamming, and I also won't see it until later. So really, if you want, you could spam it. People could just mute it if they want, because I like people sharing their art. I want people to share as much of it as they like. Anyway, I'm going back to the chest emblem. I'm so gonna forget it. So the chest emblem has to have some perspective, but it's got like somewhat even sides for the points here. And it sticks out at about roughly a 90-degree angle. Like for the point at which the actual like first point sticks out. I want it to be of a similar length because you're clearly trying to like fan out here. I need to complete this circle before it looks like a messed up circle. Come on. This is gonna work. One way or another, it's gonna work. Okay, so chop off this bottom bit that's sticking out more than it should. And then, yeah, when it comes to circles, here's the thing. So here's where I have a little too much pride. It's a bit of a character flaw. I, under most circumstances, am going to refuse to pull out the circle tool. I have to do it by hand, as if I was doing it on a sheet of paper in front of me. It's just the way my brain works. So you know what? For the sake of personal growth and all of us doing this together, I am going to defy that now. Bringing out the circle tool. Though I actually don't have much practice with it, so it'll still take a bit. It's also difficult with something like the circle tool that relies on the corners of the piece to like keep its head on straight. Because I like keep twisting and turning the canvas. We'll get this. That's about right. I'm gonna say that's good enough for the construction side. And we're not still doing circles. You can go back to the construction pencil. Alright, so this doesn't go like I keep trying to make it a 4-point star. It's not. This is half of a an 8-point star. I gotta figure out how to fit everything in there. I'd have to redraw parts of this. No, actually, I don't. I can keep those 2 points, but it's got to be pointing up a little bit more. Oh, okay. I think I know what I have to do now. I have to thin out this line. I think it's taking up too much space up here. I think I need to put its buddy spoke. I'm going to call it that. The buddy spoke needs to go way up here. Because, I mean, it is literally touching in the reference image. And I'm glad that it kind of coincidentally did this, even when I wasn't watching for it, but it needs to also slope up with the stretch of the garment. Yeah, because it's kind of following, as you can see in the image, the shoulder anyway. Okay. So... yeah, because, like, even spokes for something, is like, if you're doing it by hand... is about as difficult as doing hands and fingers, which we always try to hide as artists, because it's hard. But this is where we draw, this is where we learn, this is where we grow. And look at that, that is a logo if I ever saw one. Though okay. For this to have a satisfying slope with the whole thing, I actually need to redo that bit. Almost make it look three-dimensional. It's still a smaller spoke. You let me know if that's inaccurate to what you want for the character. Actually, I think it is. Okay, so... there. So, yeah, you let me know if anything there was, like, anything that I gave loyal detail to was just, like, an artifact of one of the flaws of the drawing, but I think I did pretty well. This is looking... okay, so my original... and thank you for saying it's good. My original idea here was to give it the realism of this is actually how it would look if... like, because in my pieces a lot of the time, and I haven't shown this much on my Instagram, but in my pieces a lot of the time I like to kind of make it look like as if things with cartoon proportions and physics were actually taking place in like a realistically shaded, dimensioned, lit, and detailed world. And I know I'm getting all of this for just like the positioning of a chest emblem here, but I wanted this to kind of look like it's jutting out like a, you know, and kind of wonky, like a, just slightly crinkly and wonky, like a real life chest emblem. But it's also like the cartoon aesthetics of this whole thing are aided by it. I think it feels like the positioning of it in how it makes the whole body feel like it's one plane of stuff that's just moving around feels like a different style of cartoon, and I don't know if I'm going to want to stick with that positioning. Thankfully, we can warp it later. And also, frankly, it's not the final resting place of the entire piece. This is still a construction layer. But this is where we plan everything out, and I think this is a good place for it to be so far. I am satisfied by this to a degree. I want to make sure that I'm faithful with like how these are structured. There's that chance that if I can't figure out a place for the point here, then I might actually just say that it kind of just digs into the hair. That's cheating, though. It's cheating. I'm not going to cheat here. This place is where I'll cheat. That's not one of them. I cheated with the hands over here. Where is it? I cheated with the hands over here. Not cheating with that. You only want to do so much of that. Okay. So then, much easier. The hair pieces, especially like the thinner lines for the inner scrunchy detail with the rest of it. That's part of the realism that I'm talking about. Where like you have little scrunchy bits for the little corner of the hair, the little wrinkles where it comes into the whole mass of it. So it's like in the same way that in the same way that oh, okay, I see what's going on. In the same way that hair that hair looks like a single mass in cartoons, and the kind of I don't know, the kind of physical solid consistency of something in the real world, if it was one piece, would kind of, it's a little bit like a balloon with tofu in it, if you like, or no, let me backtrack that. A balloon with marshmallow in it. That works. So these kind of creases, I want it to almost be like a puffy, pillowy marshmallow. That's what I think big fluffy hair works best as texture-wise in any kind of cartoon. And look at that. We got sort of a Mary Tyler Moore 70s kind of gay thing going on. I have no idea if this character is gay, but it's very gay coded. I'll tell you that damn much. Yeah, I'm satisfied by that. I hope you are. And thankfully, this other representation here is much simpler. And I think what'll be really fun and cute is to just have them, like, have that version of them ghosting behind them. You won't see the different transparency until I actually do the final piece, like the inking, but I want to have some transparency with it back here, just as I guess as its like little angel on the shoulder, where, you know, you're just kind of seeing the shadow of their other mood, kind of like a metaphor for depression, I guess. You can use it as that if you like. But yeah, so it's gonna be like full transparency here though, just so that we make sure we got proportions. LMAO, bye actually, but like I do have like a monster from her, monster from of her, yeah. Well, okay, so when I say gay coded, I'm including queer coded. The character is bi, and that is included. Okay, so this is going to stick out, but not that much for the head. There's a very droopy version of the hair. We're gonna have a little bit of sticking out there, where like the hair isn't totally sure what it's doing, but like it's trying to rest its fluffiness in a sad, grumpy way. Sad, grumpy way. Oh, and that like same hair swoop that actually is in the position that it's intended to be in the original piece, that can now be a mirror. They're facing the other way, and they have a mirror. They have mirrored hair. They have a mirrored attitude. It almost reminds me of Wanda's hair from the Fairly Odd Parents. Like just a little hint. You can. I think you can kind of see it. And there's that shape. You can see I'm growing more comfort with my hand over the course of this. You know, like I was at first a little fidgety and awkward because it's been a while, but now it's like I can feel the tone of the piece. I'm really liking this. That's scrunched up to the face. I might actually have some more sag on it. Take out that corner. Yeah. Take out this whole thing. Yeah, because everything's just like kind of having a difficult time holding up its own weight. Don't you just love it when you do a line properly and then by reflex, because it was just slightly different than you wanted it to be, you undo, that you can't do it again? Does that work? No, that doesn't work actually. I think that this would work better for it. Sticking out. No. Like, I just want the slightest implication of it, because it still feels like their head is kind of upright. Yeah, we got it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got it. Oh, and the cheeks, never did the cheekies. But those are pretty easy. I think it's just a spiral. Yeah, it's just a spiral. Yeah. Oh, perfect. We got this. A little bit of also crease under the lip. Me doing the character flaw, just the circle by hand. Oh, I almost had it there. You saw it. There it is. There, that's perfect. Okay, and then like the implication of it up here. again, sorry for my misspelling, but I was gonna say my main inspo is Soul Eater. It's an anime. Well, I don't know anime very well, but thank you for coming in with something you're passionate about. Yeah, I'm not much of an anime guy, but I am a big fan of you coming in with stuff that you like. And if you pull it, I don't remember if in the Discord, I don't want to screw up my graphics drivers again by checking the Discord right while I'm here. I'm going to see what to do about that. I might actually reinstall them later. But I am going to check the name of this character and then write it down after the stream. But, yeah. And so I want to write down more of this stuff. And I want to do more inking. Do I do more inking now? It's been a couple hours. I'll do a little bit of inking. I'll do a little bit of inking. Now, while we got an active person in chat, I'm going to ask you a very important question, Robo, or Nightmare, or whatever you like to be called. Package with the thing that I'm requesting right now, whatever you want to be called. So, I'm going to say that the Kyron Black here is number 1. This OC is number 2. Yours is number 3. This one is number 4. Bowser is number 5, and the spider and such over here is number 6. You tell me based on number what it is you think that I call you Howl. So Howl, based on number that you see here, what do you think I should ink first and give some sturdier, you know, some like it's similar to like the lines that you see, but a little cleaner on Bowser here. So if it's Bowser, I would finish it up, and Bowser is 5, and the corresponding numbers you see here are whatever number you call out. And you can even give an order if you like, an order of numbers. I'm gonna pause just to gaze at the canvas as you take your time. You know, we bask in our accomplishment here. I do a little bit of hydrating. Yeah, I'm really proud of this, especially the hand shape for your OC. I'm proud of how that happened. I thought I would have to adjust the palm portion. 2 definitely, then 4. Fantastic. Oh, okay, yeah. So those are 2 other OCs. Okay, that's really sweet of you. 2 of the OCs of people who've come in before that I wish I had the names written down for. But yeah, before I get to those, I'm just going to say for that palm portion, I thought for sure this little bit right here I was going to want to redo, and maybe I will later on. I don't think so, though, because it does feel like it's just enough sag that it's like the clothy, cottony thing going on. So 2 for sure, then 4 to definitely, you say. Okay, so let's pack away that folder. Which one is that? So these 2 are next to each other. That's convenient. All right. So now my idea is I'm going to actually lighten the background just enough that we can better work with our black layers here. I'm going to lower the opacity of the white one and disable the original silhouette underneath. I'm going to make that white just like way less visible. And then I'm going to add a layer that is just completely normal, and it is for the inking that we're going to start right now. You said you think it looks great, and I really appreciate it. So now you'll see this different consistency of this brush. This is going to be closer to it looking polished and it looking like the final piece will. And, you know, eventually, of course, this is going on my Instagram. And there's like a slight chance I'm going to pull out Lazy Nizumi for some smoothing assistance here. But judging by how things are, I'm actually not sure of that. I just need to make sure that there's not too much bulbousness, not too much accidental circles going on in my going up and down here with any of the brush strokes, because that is not going to help us. That's going to make our character look lumpy when they're not supposed to look lumpy. But now the shape of the face, outline it with the thickness of it, but the facial features will use a thinner setting. God, that jawline is difficult actually, and I might redo that neck eventually. But yeah, and I just want to say again how I love your art style. I think that it is a phenomenal art style, and I really appreciate that we got to see it. I think you should keep doing it, and I think that I can't wait to see more pieces. Take some of these lumpy bits off. Remember, this is the polished layer. Don't gotta get it right the first try, but we always come back around. And slide, I think I'm gonna make this just slightly thinner for the ear because we need more room for like defined shape. And a little room for artistic liberty because the ear is not this portion, like a lot of portions of this ear that are important to how it incorporates with the face are actually not shown in that reference image you see there. So we get some liberty. I don't remember if I mentioned that this is going to go on my Instagram when it is done, but it will. And that is when we do, to be clear, inking, then bucket fill, some lighting, maybe some environmental effects. You know, we'll just, we'll take this as it goes over the course of however long I'm working on this. There might even be stuff that I work on off camera. I'm thinking, or sorry, off stream because I'm not on camera. I am thinking that just like with experimenting with the circles, I want to see if bucket fill, if I'm going to play more with bucket fill, especially enhanced bucket fill like Clip Studio Paint has, or if I want to fully like paint it in like I normally would. So I'm either going to, when the time comes to start filling colors in for stuff, yeah, I'm either going to bucket fill it or I'm going to manually paint it while I chat with you guys. Because if I use the bucket fill, then I'm only going to use the painting tools for the lighting bits that create dimensionality and texturing to it, whereas just taking care of the base colors will just be the bucket. There is no wrong way to do it. They both have their benefits. Though painting it all manually, it has more risk. It creates more possible transparency to a canvas you may not want people to directly see. It also takes a lot more time. Right now we are playing with basically the same principles we were with the construction pencil, but with some dry ink. And remember, if it's starting to look all jagged and lumpy and gross from how far zoomed in you are, just snap the view back to the original and see if, damn, I can't even notice. Alright. That is so substantially thicker than the other one. It just felt right to do that. I might still... Like, so, okay, what I'm going to experiment with here is making the outer line of this finger curl for the hair much thicker. Because I don't want it to interfere with the structure of the rest of the hair. This is where we're experimenting. I want it to have that kind of personality. I don't want it to just be as defined as the eyebrows here that are of standard length. I mean, standard thickness, I should say. This feels right for now. I'm just going to go with that and then try and have it seamlessly blend into a thinner line width for the rest of it. And just to disclose to folks, excuse me, by the way, I am probably heading off within the next half hour. I've been going for a couple hours. I know that I had to shut it down for a bit earlier. For technical difficulties, restart my computer. I'm glad we got back on track. But yeah, once it gets into the phase of inking, that's when like you enter a new phase of the drawing. I contemplated whether I was going to stop the stream now. I'm having too much fun is the thing. That's what this is all about. Look at the cleanness! I didn't think it looked anywhere near that clean. And I'm probably going to like, you know, make some more thickness for the jawline here. Always going back, double checking your work to see if there's something you want a little different. So see if your future self has some insights for you from the past. I'm sure you'd love to be able to go back in time and do that under other circumstances. Yeah, and I don't think it was actually the right thing to do a thinner line width for the ears. That was an experiment that did not work out, but I'm glad we did it. That is much better. I'm not so sure about that ear, actually. That's the best we could do for now. That's what I'm going with. Here we go. And so yeah, how's your day, Howl? Thinner line. Here, just gonna repeat this for all of the little pieces, all the little bangs here. A little scribble there for like a little frayed bit. And doing the hairline as sort of a squiggle to imply that these are all the little follicles coming up. Oh, that line is maybe way too thick. We'll see. We'll see. We can always redo it later. It's not the hardest thing. And you gotta incorporate it with this and this slope. I like how, so I'm doing some separation here with shapes. BRB, well, good to see you. Doing some separation with shapes and lines here, where it's just coming up because I think at the base of the hairline it's all one piece, and then it separates as it comes out. That helps it to feel like one focused thing. That string strand was not supposed to be there, but I am loving it, and I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to stretch. Okay. Yeah, maybe keep that one too. At least for now. Because I like playing with this now. And if any of you in the chat do not have Clip Studio Paint, feel free to take out Krita and do similar things. I don't know if you could do layer coloring in there without a clipping layer and some bucket fill. But you could do a lot of this in Krita. Just to keep that like harsh line thickness consistent with the other ones. Don't want to make it like too much, but it's also the biggest spoke here. So it's got some room to grow. And I'm just doing some repetitive procedures for the rest of it, nice and relaxing. I don't want to leave before you come back. I want to make sure that I keep this stream going long enough. All right. Where did I have that one hiding? Do I just have it tucked in behind there? I'm not that satisfied by that. I can still have it like tucked in there, but it needs to have some lip. It's not like it's just going down so harsh like that. That's not fair. It doesn't work like that in my eye. Okay. And now under the eyes a little bit. Yeah, that's like a good eye thickness, and that's just gonna be a different color later, so we don't need to worry about that looking like ominous and beady. That's on me, but it won't be for long. So I'm gonna have a clipping layer over this anyway, where the layer above it, which I'm going to color using a construction pencil in case I need to do some big areas, is basically going to make it so that I can recolor any of these lines and any portion. Oh, I'm still here. I'm just doing something. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, any of these lines and any portion of these lines and any level of transparency or gradient, I can color however I wish, because it makes it basically a stencil. And so that's something you can do to enhance your lighting effects later on, to where like the shadows can be shared across the lines. Because for a long time in my cartoons, and you can probably find this on my Instagram, especially the stuff that I did in like Inkscape. Though with Animal Crossing characters, I think this applies too. I used to strictly do black outlines. Now I do still with my OC, as you can see there. But hold on. And frankly, soon I might redraw that OC. Just the version of it that's in my stream, just because I think it might be able to use thicker lines. But here we go. Yeah. So because I thought that was like a base principle of cartoons, and that's like not totally inaccurate, but I do think that it takes some flavor away from drawings to not have colored lines. Oh, that's a really nice eyebrow. Yeah, because there was an artist that I found that well, there's a few artists that I found on Twitter, and I haven't seen all of their work, and so I'm not quite yet going to say who. But yeah, you can find any number of artists that do this, any number of fantastic artists that do this. Because I don't want to. I want this to be a family-friendly stream, and I don't want to link you to something that might have adult content. But there's like a number of artists that will do like these like just beautiful gradients across the colors of the lines that involve it in the lighting too, and it just makes it feel like something with a somewhat cartoony aesthetic. Then has like cohesion with the lighting of its world, because like everything in our real world interacts with the light around it. Now, because the other one is thick, I'm going to make this one thicker as well. There we go. And bingo. Okay. And just feeling out. The mouth is like softer, more pliable. So I am like you could just do a lot of wrist flicks to do a really good mouth shape, even when with like as complicated emotions as this one. And if he was wearing lipstick, we could make the line thicker and give it a little bit more character, but it also doesn't necessarily need it. Here we go. And just follow these lines and follow where your heart takes you for what a mouth should look like. Redo it if you gotta. But oh my god, I think that is just borderline perfect. I might want to change some stuff later so that it doesn't look like the teeth are just like tucked under the lip, because it kind of gives out that illusion here. Well, I might just have to add teeth, actually. He's got fangs, so I'm gonna add fangs. And he's still got human teeth down here, so I'll add just the faintest line down there. Now that could be excused for a shine until later. I'll put some like definition enough so that it doesn't just look like the shine of the lip. We'll figure it out. Maybe like some molars back here, if that works out. No, I don't think that works. We'll figure it out. And then the shape of the tongue. Then erase the excess little bits. Do not cooperate with the shape of the tongue. That's much, much better. Okay. Now over to the fingies. Now, that's harder to cooperate with the... Where is it? Let's take the opacity of that lower, just because I gotta work on these fingers. And I gotta make sure I'm on the right layer, so let's blink the opacity. There it is. Okay. Yeah, because I gotta see what I'm doing. And now I do. Hi, Sarah! It's so good to see you. We're a couple hours in, but it's always good having you around. Sarah's a longtime friend. Good to see you. And Sarah, I still have all the stuff ready to ink from the previous stuff that you've requested. And we will be getting to that likely in a later stream, because probably just after inking a bunch of this portion, I'm going to hop off, but I'm going to come back to doing this weekly. Yeah, this is feeling good. So just to make sure we got good smooth lines here and interaction with each other's lines. Good smooth relationships, confident brush strokes. Gonna take care of the thickness here later, because I want to stay in the same rhythm. But that should not be as thick as it is, because it's touching up against the other. And then it's becoming an inner line. Was maybe going to stick with some crookedness in the knuckle there for human's sake, but I don't think it works that well for this piece. Here we go. And, well, while we're here. Into transparent brush color, there we go, thinner line, and back to thicker line down here. Cool, thanks for the info. Doing anything for Thanksgiving? Well, I mean, Canadian Thanksgiving was last month, but we're probably just gonna be eating something over here with my folks, and probably watching something. And like, we're not big sports people, so we're not like gonna get into that too much. But yeah, we're just gonna like talk and eat and have a good time, and we're gonna take advantage of that. Probably call some relatives from back in the States, and that's gonna be my Thanksgiving. But like what I've been more focused on holiday wise is Christmas, despite being Jewish. But I love the thematics of it. Part of why I'm so satisfied by the fact that Bowser in this piece has a Halloween sweater, but it's like clearly Christmas coded in terms of its formatting. Doing the tips of the fingers here, kind of got lost in it. Line thickness consistent between all these. I'm going to do the in-betweens of the fingers later. Little smushy bits. And whatever spillover we have up here is totally okay. That just serves us for later. I really like how smooth the lines are turning out to be, how confident the brush strokes are. I like how part of this is having some like transparency here and like some little wisps. That's part of why I like using like an inky brush, because I like it when it has some character and is more than just a line. It's fine if it's just a line, I just don't want that in my piece. Here we go. I want to do kind of like a, so like this is like a tiny V, I'm gonna call it. I like doing those for little curvatures like this. And I like this little imperfection in the pinky crease, because that implies that like kind of the joint of the pinky is getting used. Might keep that line too. No, I don't like it, but I like the implication of it. That gap there. But yeah, for any of these gaps with the gradient of pressure, I like doing a tiny V. Yeah, those really satisfy me. Oh, right, and the thumb is way tucked back there. I don't think that would actually show up. Can you tell I'm procrastinating doing the hair? Ah, okay. I'm sure it'll go fine. I'm so scared. Okay. Just like, I want to make sure that it's like, it shouldn't be too smooth and straight, but it's got to have that kind of bouncy structure to it. This should have more of a curve than I originally did. I'm a firm believer in that. Here we go. That's better. Now it looks like it's got its identity of shape. A little better than that. There we go. Now it looks like it has its identity of shape. Frankly, I might, if I may be so bold, do some of these like crinkly bits for yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Why does the hair remind me of Journey Test cartoon? Is that just me? Johnny Test cartoon. I was like, what is Journey Test? I do know Johnny Test, and perhaps that has some influence because I did a little bit grow up with Johnny Test. I'm not a super big fan of the movement style of Johnny Test, but I do like, what I really like about Johnny Test is just the still art style. It really well shows like some exaggerated proportions that take advantage of the luxuries of a digital medium, because Johnny Test wasn't at the start of like digital art as we know it, but it was within like, I don't know, 10-15 years of that. Yeah, and that's a Canadian cartoon, by the way. That's where I am, though that might be on the other side of the country. I swear to God, it's going to turn out it's like a Montreal or Vancouver production, and not Toronto. Here we go. Okay, so now what I'm doing to try and piece this together, because I think that there should be some some inconsistency of shape here, because, you know, life doesn't have perfect hair. So I decided to have dipping down here and then a little bit here, and I decided to have that as two separate pieces that I would then join together. And I'm not confident that it works, but no, that doesn't work. I'm looking at it, and there's too much of a scrunchy bit here that does not cohesively blend into the part next to it. We need a little bit more identity with the shape. It just has to happen. So I'm thinking just old reliable, just throw a curve in there. A stretchy curve. And no, Google, I did not activate you. How many times in the past week, when I rarely ever have a problem with you otherwise, have you activated when I didn't ask you to? That's a little better. Yeah, I can live with that. I can live with that, at least until later. Ah, ooh, wrong hotkey. Okay. Like, okay, probably right after I'm done with the hair here, I'm gonna like with the line work for the hair here, I'm gonna take off. You know, because it's, oh god, I'm only halfway through. Am I gonna stop it here? I think I might stop it here. All right, so this is where we are stopping off for this time. We're moving on to either more requests next time or more line work as we move across this piece. And I'm gonna decide over the course of time whether I'm going to then do whether I'm going to do the bucket fills / paint in, and then lighting, and then background gradients and stuff, whether I'm going to do that on stream or between streams, so that we could just make more time for, you know, for like just people to put in more requests, so that this actually eventually gets done. I don't know. You guys have left, thankfully, plenty of time between requests, though having ample requests as well, and I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, so yeah, we'll just decide this over time. Well, and you know what, we'll gather back here next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This has been a lovely one, and thank you all for joining. Also, Sarah says thank you for your birthday message in Discord on your birthday on Sunday. I did. So thank you everybody for watching. The links to the Discord server and my Instagram should be just right all over my Twitch page if you want to see stuff that I've already done. and if you want to talk and send stuff and share your own art between streams. So yeah, thank you. Have a lovely time.